David Goggins said, the biggest problem in this fucking world is other people. Other people in your head. These voices in your head are holding back from taking action and limiting your potential. It's so fucking true. Many people, including me, fear judgment. We are living better narrative of other people. We let them dictate actions and behavior. People around us, society, expect us to behave a certain way, act a certain way. They expect us to reach all these arbitrary milestones in life, like going to college, getting a corporate job, getting married by 30, buying a house by 35 or whatever. They expect us to follow this script prepared by society, right? And if you deviate from that script, they will judge you like, oh, you're still single at 35, you don't have children yet at 40. Fuck off. Why do we need to follow this script? Why do we need to follow a path forged by society? It's fucking insane. I've seen so many people give up their dreams and settle into the system because of all the societal expectations and societal pressure. They limit our options and behaviors and actions and all that. Like if we could become shameless in a positive way, if we could ignore all the noise, all the bullshit, around us, we could fly, we could unlock a true potential, no limitations, no engine governor, no nothing. We could fly. Look, I'm not going to pretend that I'm not bothered by all these people's opinions and judgment. As much as trying to shut them all out, a part of me is still affected by them. But through conscious effort, I've been past a point where I let them dictate my actions and behavior. This is huge growth for me because when I was much younger, when I was a kid, literally, I was afraid of judgment. So much so I was making decisions based on the societal norms. Like, if my decisions, if my choices would align with the consensus, would align with what people are in favor of, I would doubt myself immediately. I was like, am I doing something wrong here? I was afraid of being on the wrong side. I was pathetic. My value and self-worth are tied to validation and acceptance from others. So I was making decisions based on how the consensus, the majority, even down to small choices like what kind of clothes I'd buy, what kind of haircut I'd get. I'd always go with what was in the trend, what was in fashion, rather than what I actually wanted. I was like operating on autopilot. I was like an NPC character in this fucking system. But as I grew older and navigated this fucking, fake ass world, I finally came to my senses and started questioning it. Like, why do I care about other people's opinions? Why are people hardwired to crave validation and approval from others? Why do people have a desire to belong to the community and group? And it's such a shame that many people die without following their dreams and fulfilling their true potential because of people around us, because of the system. Like imagine you're in your 20s working a 9 to 5 corporate job, feeling unfulfilled and stuck. You want to quit and finally follow your dreams, right? But the problem is people around you are going to talk you out of it, saying, it's a huge mistake. It's too risky. Just stay on course. Stay on the path. Stay on this, like whatever, right? And like it's none of a goddamn business, like whether I succeed or not doesn't concern you whatsoever, right? Just leave me alone. And what's crazy is they don't even care about you. They may seem caring and supportive on the surface, but deep down, they want you to be stuck on the same level. They want you to fail, because if you succeed, it will crush their ego. It will force them to face reality. The fact that they haven't tried, the fact that they haven't made bold decisions like you, it will, make them regret. So they do whatever it takes to keep you on the same level, right? But like quitting a job, making a big change in your life, it's a huge decision. So you need to think it through before you make a decision. But at the end of the day, it is your decision to make, right? So you need to make the decision on your own, not asking for advice from other people. And also, they give you advice, but it's not coming from a good place. Okay, so take it with a grain of salt. And God forbid, if they make you think you don't have what it takes to make it, use that as motivation, all right? Okay, I'm not, they don't think I have what it takes. All right, all right. I'm gonna blow their fucking mind. I'm gonna write a plot twist in their fucking stories, you know? That's the spirit. And life is one big story, right? And you're the writer. You're the one who takes control of the narrative. You're the one who makes you the hero of the story, who saves the day, you know? It's time to stop reading a book about dreams or success. It's time to write yourself into it. Be the main character. If you want to follow your dreams, if you want to make a big change in your life, don't ask for advice. Have faith in yourself and give it a shot and see what happens. Also, when you try something new, it's expected you're going to, have a learning curve and embarrass yourself along the way. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to fail. You're going to stumble a lot along the way. And people around you are going to laugh at you, mock you for struggling, calling you crazy or whatever. But it doesn't matter. It is part of the process. You need to accept it. This is such a cliche, but success, failure, and embarrassment are packaged deal. They always come together. One cannot exist without others. Let me share one of my favorite quotes. Embarrassment is the cost of entry. If you aren't willing to look like a foolish beginner, you'll never become a graceful master. This quote keeps me going. It helps me be brave, courageous when I try something new, when I embarrass myself along the way to the next level. This quote keeps me going. You don't need validation from others, okay? Because it comes and goes. People praise you for doing great, and people talk shit about you when you're struggling, right? It's not consistent, right? So it doesn't matter if they recognize you or not, as long as you believe you're doing great, as long as you believe you're doing awesome, Your value shouldn't depend on other people's like external validation. Your value should come from within. Have that unshakable confidence and high self-esteem. They protect you from judgment. Also, haters are always haters. It is who they are. You can't change how they behave or what they say about you. It is coming from them. They're projecting, Like the reason why they attack you, the reason why they leave negative comments and cyberbully people is because they are going through some shit. Maybe they hate their jobs. Maybe they hate the fact that they aren't succeeding. They're mediocre or whatever. Maybe their marriages are falling apart, They're going through some shit. So they attack you to make them feel better, make them, I don't know, try to drag you down to their level to make them feel better or whatever, It's fucking pathetic. So you don't need validation from these people. It doesn't matter. It took me a while to build a kind of self-esteem that protects me from judgment because I'm inherently negative and pessimistic. So I took a while to transform into this version of me who doesn't give a shit about other people's opinions and judgment. A part of me still cares a little, but it has less power over me now. So it's great. Yeah, I just want to talk about how people are, restricted by society, how society are controlling actions and behavior, And if we ignore the noise, if we ignore other people's opinions, we can be free, be liberated, and achieve our goals and potential, It's such a shame to see people give up their dreams and, settle into the system because of all this bullshit. So I wanted to talk about it. The bottom line here is you don't need to care about these people's opinions and judgment, all right? Don't let them control actions or behavior. At the moment you stop caring about how you look in their eyes, you will fly, you will bloom. That's it. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this video motivational. See ya.